Hey everyone, Selena here, founder, host, lead educator with the American Crochet Association, also the writer behind Selena Bacher Crochet, and I am streaming this in all the places. So if you are watching live, come on over, say hey, say hello, tell me where you're viewing from. And if you're watching on the replay, it's still the same great jam. So still come on over, say hey, say hello, tell me where you're viewing from. And if you guys have any questions on the Tip Tuesday topic today, just go ahead and post them. And as soon as I see them, I'll get right back to you. Now, I haven't done a Tip Tuesday in a minute, but they're one of my favorite things to do simply because I love to chat. I love to have conversations with you guys, and I have a ton of resources to share just on different things that I've learned and I'd like to share, or things that I've done terribly wrong that I will totally tell you to avoid. So in one of the groups that I run, the group American Crochet Association, which I'm looking at right now, we just got this amazing question, and I haven't even approved it yet because it's such a great question that I thought, this is the perfect Tip Tuesday. So this entire video, it's going to be beefy and juicy, and it's just you guys are going to be so full when we're done with this. There is so much in here. This is just for that one member who posted this question. But I know that they're not alone in this because I actually see this question pop up quite often. So I'm not going to share anything about that question yet, but as soon as I approve their question, I'm going to post this video and hopefully this will help. All right, before we get started, it looks like even though this was impromptu, it looks like quite a few of you guys are here, like Joanne. Thank you for joining. Dawn is here from Jacksonville, Florida. My friend Amanda Woodbury is here too. So good to see you always. All right, guys. So the question today, the Tip Tuesday that I have to share with you is, am I ready to crochet a garment? And that's essentially the question that was just posted in our group. And I see versions of this question all over the internets, wherever I enjoy crochet, this question kind of crops up. So I'm going to give you a simple answer, and then I'm going to give you everything that you need to tackle your first garment so that you feel like you know how to tackle that garment and you're not going to be frustrated, okay? So am I ready to crochet a garment? My answer to you is, if you know how to crochet, if you know your basic stitches, if you can read a pattern, then absolutely you can crochet a garment. Now, that's the easy part of this tip. Okay, now where it gets tricky is garment is such a broad term. So I'm going to show you guys a few different kinds of garments. Stay tuned till the end because I'm going to share a free pattern for you guys to get started on your very first garment ever. And I also have a crochet challenge that we recently did that will help you to craft a garment that fits you, and it goes over all of these different aspects that I'm going to share with you guys today. Okay, so let's break up garment into quite a few different categories, because if you know how to crochet, can you crochet a garment? Totally you can. However, there's a lot of stuff that goes into crocheting a piece of clothing that's going to fit your body in the way that you want it to fit your body, that you will be able to wear and care for, that it's going to last. Those are all the things that we want whenever we're talking about crocheting a garment. So here are some things to think about, okay? First and foremost, and I posted some here in the video description, but I'm also going to follow up and either update the video description or I'm going to put these in the comments because I got some links to share, okay? There's tons of information. So first and foremost, back to, can you crochet your first garment? I'm going to suggest first, do you know how to crochet very basically? Do you know your very basic stitches? Do you know the chain? Do you know the single? Do you know the half double? Do you know the double? Do you know those stitches? And when I say, do you know those stitches, there are some people that have been crocheting for 57 years and they're still not entirely sure what counts as a stitch and what doesn't. And they don't know, how do you get your ends from not being wonky? That's all about identifying what counts as a stitch, what doesn't. Does your chain count as a stitch? Does it not? If it does or if it doesn't, where do you place your stitches when you work? So that's the first thing. A little bit deeper than that. And if you guys need video tutorials and resources, if you guys really want to learn those stitches, I got you. Okay. I filmed an entire Learn How to Crochet series at the American Crochet Association on the YouTube channel. It not only shows you all those individual stitches, it shows you the anatomy from the front and the back so that you understand how to count it and identify it. And it also talks about, hey, what counts as a stitch and what doesn't count as a stitch whenever it comes to that beginning or turning chain, and what do you do if it does or doesn't count? Those are really important aspects to understand whenever it comes to following a crochet pattern, because if you're going to make something like a garment, some garments can be just as intensive as crocheting like a queen size Afghan. You don't want to crochet a queen size Afghan or, you know, a cardigan and then put it on and go, or you go to make it and it's like, why are my edges like that? And it's all about the stitch counting and recognition. It's all about where you place your hook. It's all about using stitch markers. So that is number one. And again, I'm talking to you. It doesn't matter if you've been crocheting 192 years, you may not know this. It doesn't matter if you've made 987 hats and blankets, you may not know this. So if any of your projects, especially new projects, if you're like, sometimes it's just not quite right and I'm not really sure, it might be because you need a firmer understanding and just some basic tips about what counts as a stitch and what doesn't, okay? So I am going to share this in the comments. I'm gonna post it. There we go. Okay, so I've just posted it. This is an article that I wrote about stitch counting, right? So it's what counts as a stitch, what doesn't, how to use stitch markers, and that way your ends won't look like this. And if you're doing something like working in a joined round, like the picture right here, you're going to always have the accurate stitch count. So you're not going to be adding stitches or omitting stitches and go, what the what? I followed the pattern, but why is it doing this? Okay, so just understanding those things, that is going to help take you miles and miles down the road of crocheting your first garment with confidence. Okay, so next thing to know is kind of broad. It's about reading and understanding crochet patterns. And this is where some of us, myself included, I crocheted for 25 years before I learned how to read a written crochet pattern. I could look at something and kind of figure it out. I could kind of follow like really basic like crochet instructions, but it took me forever to understand how to unlock the acronyms of crochet patterns. And even then, even when I unlocked like, okay, I can read a crochet pattern, but then there's all this stuff in there. Like what do you do when there's an asterisk and a bracket and a parentheses? Like what do I do? What is the order of operations? So sometimes we see patterns with all three of those repeat symbols used and you're like, you lost me. This is no longer the language that I speak and understand. I've got this article that will help you to deconstruct those so that you understand what each one of them mean and what you're supposed to do when you see them. Now, not all garments, not all patterns are going to use repeat symbols. Even garments, just because it's a garment doesn't mean it's going to be a 57-page pattern. It doesn't mean there's going to be 982 lines of instructions. It can be quite simple. I'll show you some that are very simple. So really, whenever you see a lot of different stitch repeat symbols, it's telling you that you're doing something pretty complex. So maybe there's a lot going on, like maybe it's a lace stitch, or maybe it has quite a few different stitch variations within the pattern. Maybe the pattern is super complex. Maybe it's got some cables and then it's got some fillet and then there's some puff stitches in there. So maybe it's just got a whole lot going on. And in order for you to follow that line or row or round of repeats, it's like, okay, I have to do this, but then I have to do that 18 times because I want this stitch pattern going all the way around. And so really, whenever you unlock the mystery of the math, it's going to make a whole lot more sense. Okay, so how to read crochet patterns? I mean, really, it's about why patterns are written the way that they are, how you can decipher that, and then how you can break apart those instructions, and that way you can follow them, check your work, and determine whether or not you've done what the pattern says to do, okay? All right, so I'm going to kind of blow through some of these tips. I see so many of you guys are here and commenting. I'm going to come back and say hey to you guys in just a minute, and I'm also going to answer any questions that you guys have, but I'm going to get through just a few more tips for you, okay? All right, so the next thing in creating a garment that you love, the next thing is all about, oh, hold on. There's actually two resources that I want to share with you. You guys will definitely, by the way, want to download this cheat sheet that gives you the difference between an asterisk and a bracket and a parentheses. You guys are going to want that, so definitely check that in the video description, okay? Okay, so the next thing is about, okay, you want to crochet your first garment. Am I good enough? Am I ready? Can I do this? Can I tackle it? I know that a lot of people think that this is like a curse word. Make a swatch. Really, this is going to be so helpful. If you are thinking about making anything that's big, anything, doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter if it's a blanket or a cardigan, does not matter. I think crocheting a swatch is going to be one of the best things you can possibly do to give yourself confidence in terms of actually tackling that project. Okay, so let's just back it up a minute. Don't hit the don't scroll away, don't stop, don't run away in a huff. Because really, if you're going to crochet something like a garment, this swatch is going to help you to unlock lots of mysteries in terms of what you're doing, okay? So first and foremost, okay, we talked about, okay, counting your stitches, right? We talked about following maybe a pattern that's going to be a little complex in terms of the stitches or the rows or something like that. We talked about that, right? So let's take those aspects and let's bulk that into, wait a minute, what yarn am I going to use? What hook am I going to use? Am I making the size that I need to make? Okay, so let's take all of those questions and we want answers to all of those. So we're going to do that by creating a swatch. Now in crochet, a swatch is just a really small section of the fabric that you're going to be creating. And that small section of fabric that you are creating is just going to give you all of those answers, right? So, you can follow a very small section of the pattern by creating a swatch. Create something slightly larger than the gauge. Typically, gauge is going to be a 4-inch by 4-inch square. Make something that's maybe like 8 inches or 10 inches or something like that, because the larger your swatch is, the more information you're going to have. So it's going to be a good idea to make something just bigger, okay? So that swatch, okay, let's say, all right, I'm ready to dig in. I think I know what yarn I'm going to use. I think I know the hook size. It's going to give me the gauge of the fabric and the size that I'm looking for. I've never worked this stitch before. I've never worked this pattern before. I want to make sure that I do it right, right? So you're going to crochet your swatch, and as you're doing it, you're thinking about all of those questions and you're measuring as you go, because you might need to change your hook size. You might go, wow, this fabric is way too big. Wow, this fabric's way too small. And you can kind of measure the swatch that you're making and, engineer that against the gauge that the pattern should give you. So you can kind of see from there, like, ooh, this is working up way too big. This is working up way too small. You can also get a feel for the fabric that you are creating. Sometimes whenever we see pictures of things, we're like, oh my gosh, I love that so much. I totally want to make that. But then whenever it comes to like working up the fabric for that, you're like, this uses the puff stitch 987 times per round, and I have 1,000 rounds. I don't want to do this. This is no longer a fun, enjoyable project. I've certainly done that before. There are certain stitches that I'm like, that's exhausting. That's beautiful. And now I see, nope, I see it now, but I do not enjoy this. This is no longer, this does not spark joy. I want to cry. So creating that small swatch will show you, not only help you to practice that fabric, it's to where you can go, okay, all right, I'm getting in the groove. I understand this. It's working up. Or it gives you an opportunity on a really small scale before you buy 19 skeins of yarn to make a cardigan. You can go, I do not enjoy this. But now that I've done this, I can see that maybe I would like to make something else that is this, or make something else that is that. So it's going to unlock a lot of that for you. Now, my favorite thing about crocheting a swatch and having a swatch, particularly if you're making some kind of garment, is that swatch is the thing that you're going to wash, block, throw in the washing machine, throw in the dryer, soak, whatever you think you need to do for your finished garment. So that's kind of one, and the reason I love that with the swatch is it's going to unlock all those answers, and you're not going to finish this project and go, can I ever wash this? Like, that's no longer going to be a question. So whenever you create that swatch and you go, okay, I got the yarn that I like, it's the hooks, it's the right size, I love this fabric, fantastic. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to look at the yarn label, and the yarn label is going to tell you the care instructions. Yarn labels give you the care instructions just like your clothes do, your shirts, your towels, you know, whatever kind of fabric you have. That label on the yarn is going to tell you this is 100% cotton. You need to X, Y, and Z. You need to dry clean only. You can hand wash, but lay flat to dry. That's where you're going to start. Okay, so with that swatch, you follow those care instructions, and whatever it tells you you can or can't do, go through that. If you're going to choose to block your fabric, sometimes you really need to block your fabric, and sometimes pertaining to the fiber that you have, sometimes blocking it's going to be tricky. So there's more things that you need to either know or do or have or try to make sure that that blocking process is successful. So just crocheting that swatch, going through the washing instructions, going through the caring instructions, going through a blocking session, that's going to answer a lot of questions for you. Okay? All right, so I'm going to pop this in the comments so that way you guys can read that. And I'm going to move on to the next thing for you, which is understanding yarn substitution. Now, some of these may feel a little out of order. When I was sitting here thinking about giving this chat, I wasn't sure what order to put some of these in. So arguably this could be one of the first things that you do, you know, after you're like, I know my stitches, right? So choosing yarn, particularly for a garment, is going to be one of the most important things that you could possibly do. Not all yarn can be substituted for all other types of yarn. And really, there's a lot to think about whenever you're choosing yarn for a particular project. Now, think about it this way. Let's just back up 10 steps, right? You're in your favorite department store, whatever that is. You're shopping for clothes, wherever that is. And let's just think about a type of clothing that maybe you like to shop for. Maybe you're thinking about buying a sweater. What kind of sweaters do you like to wear? What feels good? What doesn't feel good? Think about how, like, is it really thick? Is it really thin? Does it feel really heavy? You know, sometimes we see something and we see it on the hanger and we're like, oh, that's great. And then we pick it up and we're like, immediately no, because it's too heavy or it's too light, or, you know, or maybe sometimes we just look at fabric and we go, oh, I could never put that in the washing machine. Like, I'd have to lay that flat to dry. So already whenever we see a finished piece, sometimes we already put that together and we decide, is this going to look right? Is it going to feel right? Can I take care of it? So we're essentially, whenever we're crocheting a garment, we have to foresee all of those things and eliminate any snag that we may have. So sometimes, let's backtrack just for a minute. Sometimes we see things on the internet. I'm on Pinterest, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm wherever I enjoy the internet and crochet, and you see a sweater and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to make that sweater. Why do you want to make that sweater? You want to make it because it's photographed well. You like the fabric, you like the density, you like the stitch, you like the way it was modeled, you like the way it was on the hanger. There was something about that fabric that you love, okay? So my advice to you is, if you love the way that looked, you should probably use the exact yarn that pattern calls for. Whenever a pattern is written, they tell you exactly, I use this yarn in this color and this hook, and that's how you get that, right? You don't go and say, hey, I'm gonna make tacos tonight, but I'm gonna make them with hot dogs. Like, those are two completely different things. You can like hot dogs and you can like tacos, but they're different. So it's really difficult to go, I want to make that sweater, I want it to look exactly like that, but I already have this yarn, so I just have to make it work. Like, it's not going to work out that way. Now, why is that? There's a million reasons. Yarn is made of completely different fibers. There's cotton, there's linen, there's acrylic, there's wool, there's alpaca, and then there's a lot of other stuff, and then there's a lot of different blends of those. So depending on the fiber, Like different fibers are going to feel differently. They're going to look differently. Some of those are going to be much heavier than others. So the literal weight, like how much it weighs of a unit of yarn, 1 unit of yarn can weigh more than another unit of yarn. Now, does that matter when you're making a 1 skein project? Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. But when you're using 10, 15, 20 skeins of something to make something, weight is going to make all the difference. If you want a sweater that's going to fit you, then weight is really going to matter, because you could be saying, oh, well, that's made with like a wool blend, but I don't like wool. I'm going to use this cotton blend. Well, cotton's going to weigh 5 times as much. So when you put it on, it's just going to hang, and you're probably going to have a tunic or a dress as opposed to that light and lofty sweater that you saw. So there's a lot to know about yarn, from fiber, from weight, from gauge, all of that kind of stuff, what you can wash, what you can't wash. So it's just really good to have an understanding for yarn and how to substitute it. I'm going to put this article link in the video description here. Okay, so another thing that I want to talk about just a little bit, and then I'm going to share some more resources with you guys, is that really whenever we're creating garments, this is something I learned the hard way, and I think that it makes all the difference. All these things, arguably, that I've mentioned make all the difference. But size and fit make all the difference, okay? Let's go back to, we're shopping for our fall wardrobe, right? You're shopping in your favorite spot, and you're looking for your fall wardrobe, okay? There are different ways things fit, and there are different sizes. Now, your body size, you may go, I'm a medium. But medium doesn't really mean anything. You may go, I'm a large. That doesn't really mean anything. I'm a small. That literally means nothing. The reason it means nothing is that size and fit are 2 completely different things. Now, this shirt right here, this is I don't even know what size it is. I'm not even sure, honestly, because I always try things on, and it's like, sometimes it's like, I think that's my size, and you try it on and you go, oh, it needs to be bigger or smaller. Now, this top right here that I'm wearing is fitted. It's actually so fitted that it's probably an inch smaller than my actual body measurements. And that way, when I put it on, it's stretched just a little bit. So it is like, it is fitted. There is no ease whatsoever. There's nothing. It's just this shirt, and it is hugging my skin. So this is a great example of a garment that is fitted, and it's actually smaller than my actual body measurements. However, I might want this shirt to be oversized, and maybe that is a style that I like. So let's just say, for argument's sake, I am a medium, right? Let's say I'm typically in my favorite store. I go to Old Navy, I go to Target. I'm a medium whenever I shop there, right? But let's say I tried this shirt on, and even though it's a medium, I go, ooh, that is that is a tight shirt. And I go, you know what? I would love this shirt if it was bigger. Like maybe there's 2 inches of extra space on either side. Like I want it to be a little loose. So I might get the extra large. And maybe the extra large, just because of how this is cut, maybe it fits me the way I want it to fit me. So I'm a medium, but I want to make and wear an extra large just because I like the way that fits better. So that's a concept that, well, whenever we're clothes shopping, we can easily go, well, I'm a medium. I'm just gonna, I should get the medium. And then you get it and you take it home and you go, ooh, no, no. Whenever you're crocheting, you have to think outside of what size you think you are, and you have to think about how you want the garment to fit. You get those measurements, you get your body measurements, and then you make the thing that you think is going to fit you the way you want it to fit you. Because whenever I'm in Old Navy and I go, I'm a medium, I can easily try on the medium and go, ooh, that doesn't work. And then I can go, let me get a large. Ooh, that doesn't work. And then I can go get the extra large and go, ooh, that's perfect. Okay. But whenever you're crocheting a garment, you have to foresee that. You don't want to go, I'm a medium, and then you just dive into the medium size and go, oh, wait a minute, that's actually not the size I want. Because however it fits on the model, maybe you're like, that's how I want it to fit. You see how it's all big on that model and it's cute. And it's kind of like, it's a cropped look, but there's all this extra space on the sides and the sleeves are rolled up. That's how I want it to fit me. that model may be a size small wearing a size extra large. So you may go, oh, I'm a medium. I'm just going to crochet a medium, and then you're crocheting this fitted thing. So that was a lot of information. That was a lot of chat, but hopefully it made a little bit of sense. Size and fit are very, very important. Okay, so I do have some resources for you guys. I do want to share some things, and then I wanted to dive into a resource where you can just kind of look around anywhere that you want. So if you are brand new to crocheting garments and you're like, I want to try something, but I want to try something like real simple, this is worked in rows. It is so easy, and it's very flattering on a lot of different body shapes and sizes, and you can totally play around with the size and the fit. It's really easy to do. So I'm going to share this pattern. It's free to view with the American Crochet Association. It's a pattern I wrote a couple years ago. Go and check it out, okay? And if you have any questions, I'm just an email away, okay? Now, if you've heard everything that I have to say and you're like, that's a lot of information, it would be great if there was a challenge that I could follow where I could go through all of these steps and I could make a garment. And Selena, you could walk me through it. Well, my friend, you are in luck. I did such a challenge a little while ago. It's called the Scarfy Cardigan Crochet Challenge, and it walks you through all of these different aspects. So even if you've never made a garment before, it talks you through what materials I used, how you can substitute materials. It talks about the stitches. It talks about creating gauge. You can create a swatch. You can adjust that swatch, how to adjust the swatch. There's even a video tutorial for that. We talk about, me and you, hopefully. We talk about size, fit, and style, how to adjust this pattern so that it can be the style and fit that you're looking for. And then we crochet all the different pieces together, and I talk about lots of different ways that you can join it or seam it and then finish it off. So if you guys are interested, there is a pattern with tons of information that takes you through all these different aspects of crocheting a garment. And these are different aspects that you can then carry on to crochet any garment that you want. And the last resource that I want to share with you guys is just looking for things on Ravelry, because you may go, I want to crochet a garment. Maybe you've already found one that you aspire to make. Hopefully all of these different resources that I shared with you will give you some helpful tips and tricks to crochet the garment of your dreams. And if you just kind of want to go, well, I want to crochet something, but these are great tips, and now I want to find something of my dreams, check out Ravelry. There are so many different kinds of garments that really I just wanted to kind of share this with you. So when you say you want to crochet a garment, I'm just assuming that you mean something from the top up. And when we're talking about something from the top up, it could be a vest, it could be a top, it could be a sleeveless top, a strapless top, a tee, it could be swimwear, it could be a sweater, it could be a cardigan, a pullover, it could be sleepwear, a skirt, a shrug, a bolero, a robe, it could be a dress, it could be a coat, it could be a jacket. I mean, there are so many different kinds of projects and categories that you can crochet. Some other things to just think about, and I don't say any of this to overwhelm you. I say all of this to say that there are so many options. You're going to find something that you're going to find approachable and beautiful, that you're going to want to make, and that you're going to be able to fine tune to make the perfect thing. Think about this as well. How the garment is constructed. Is it top down? Is it bottom up? Is it made in joined rounds? Is it made in flat pieces? Is it seamed together? How is it seamed together? Where is it seamed together? Is it adjustable? Some things can be adjustable in terms of size and some things aren't. What sizes does it come in? Are those sizes kind of adjustable? So those are just different questions to ask, because essentially you find a picture of something that you love. Maybe it's this cardigan right here, and you're looking at that cardigan going, I want to make that cardigan. These are all questions to help you either replicate that cardigan exactly, or you've got enough questions to where you're going to be able to replicate the size and the fit and the look that you're going to love. Okay, guys, those are all the resources that I wanted to share with you. That was a ton of stuff, and now I would love to see who's here and what you guys are saying. Dana's here. Hey, I was just sending you back an email. Hey, Selena, I'm in the yarn bus at Mom's in Oregon City. Back on the truck tomorrow. We're in the same state, lady. Looks like Global Travel Adventures is here checking in. Amanda says, oh, that's a great question. I was so inspired by this question. I was like, Tip Tuesday time. So hopefully I gave you guys some good resources. I know I just dumped a ton of information on you. So can't wait to hear what you guys think. Giovanna from Australia, have been buying and making your bag patterns. Love them. Thank you so much. Share some pictures when you get a minute. I'd love to see which ones you're working on. My good friend Brenda is here. Brenda Allison, always so good to see you. Cindy, good evening to you. I'm so glad that you think it's awesome. Thank you so much. June Marshall is checking in. Amanda says, I want to create a top pattern, but I'm always afraid of the math. That's a whole other question, my friend. Math can be your best friend in the crochet world. I think that when you understand the math of crochet, the math of stitches, you know, different stitch patterns have certain repeats, and really that's just a number. So just think of stitch patterns as a number, and then, you know, you need to create so many of those to create a specific size. So maybe we'll talk about, you know, stitch repeats in another Tip Tuesday. Great one. Cindy says, I've been crocheting about 35 years and I still learn stuff. Same, my friend. I've been crocheting since I was 5 years old. So for a couple of years, I've crocheted lots of different things, and I'm constantly, it's just, crochet is never like a destination. It's never, I've learned all the things. It's a journey. It's practice every single day. Even things that I've done really well in the past, you know, they're not things that I do all the time. So crochet is a constant practice. That's what it is. And that's the way I like to look at it. All right, I've got all of the resources in the comments. Darlene is here, so good to see you. My friend Elaine is here. Hello. Elaine says, I never wanted to have to do a swatch, but they have saved me so many times. Invaluable. Yeah, I kind of skimmed through that swatch conversation. And really, if you're thinking about crocheting garments, that swatch is going to tell you almost everything that you need to know about the garment that you want to create. And it's going to save you too. There have been so many times, you know, before I was very anti-swatch, and there were a couple times to where I was like, I'm going to make my first top. And I just dove in and I just crocheted the thing. And then I remember there's one time I crocheted my first top and I put it on and I was like, this is awful. I was so excited. I just wasted like hours. I just wasted weeks of my life. And, you know, it's gross. I hate it. So to really save yourself from frogging, to really make sure that you're doing something that you love, you're making something that's going to fit, all of that, that you pick the right yarn and the right color and all of that. I mean, a swatch is just it's going to be the key that unlocks all of that. Jerry Sue Tinker is here. Hello, good to see you. Dawn Tennyson is here. So good to see you. Dawn cannot stay. Oh no, I hope your friend's okay. So sorry to hear that. Check back in with us. Cindy, I'm glad you're talking about substituting yarn. I struggle with this. Yeah, definitely check out the link that I posted in the video description. Substituting yarn, there's, you know, just like how to crochet your first garment. I mean, substituting yarn starts with, what is yarn made of? What yarn was chosen for this project? Why was that yarn chosen? In the article, I talk a little bit more about what it means to choose yarn for a project. And I mean, really just think about what the purpose of the project is. What do you want it to look like? What do you want it to feel like? You know, for example, when you go and buy something like sheets or towels or a tank top, what fiber is that made out of? Why did you choose that fiber? Why did you choose that thickness? Why did you choose that density? You know, so just all of the textiles that we typically buy in their finished form, think about why you chose those, and those will help you make better decisions in the fabrics that you create in crochet. Angelica, so good to see you. Thanks for checking in. All right, I'm so glad. Free Handly says that makes perfect sense. Amanda says, oh, I love that top. I wear mine. I know what you're talking about. Amanda actually was, whenever I first did this crochet challenge, Amanda did you make two? I know you made one that was like brilliant. I loved it so much, but I thought you made two. Anyway, Amanda makes everything look good. So definitely check out Amanda's work. Maybe she'll post a picture or her finished project in the comments. Thank you, Cindy. I'm so glad you're here. Amanda, I love that top. I wear it all the time. Jerry Sue Tinker says, I love that. Angelica, I love it when it shows the model giving some of the measurements and what size she is wearing so you can actually see if you want it at that particular fit. Yes, sometimes that's helpful to know, but I think that because you're not always going to get that information, it's important to know what your actual body measurements are, what part of your body are you measuring, and then you can see what measurements the finished garments are in, and then you can kind of decide, like, do I want this to like be skin tight? Do I want it to really like fit me? Do I want it to be a little big? If so, how big do I want it to be, and where do I want it to be big? Do I want it to be big here? Do I want it to be longer here? Do I want, like, really, I think just knowing your own body measurements, that's going to help you more so than, you know, the pattern telling you model has these measurements and is wearing this size. Sometimes that's helpful, but, you know, I don't really see that a whole lot. Jerry Sue Tinker, I love this scarfie. You actually made one of my favorite scarfie cardigans. You totally did. Absolutely beautiful. I was so proud of you. I was so proud of you, Jerry Sue, that you are one of the testimonials that I put on this page. There you are. You see right there. So thank you, Jerry Sue. Angelica, I love to check on Ravelry. Me too. So much great information there. Hello, Karen. Good to see you. Freehandly, I haven't made a wearable yet. My first one will be a blankie hoodie for my little man. Ooh, well, keep us posted, especially over in the American Crochet Association group. We love to see what you guys are crocheting. Dana's got some friends and is saying hey to everybody. Yep, everybody's saying hey to Dana too. Everybody knows Dana. Everybody's saying hey to Dana. Angelica says, yes, a swatch is so important, especially for doing tops, garments. Yes, it absolutely is. Dawn, I know exactly what you mean. I made a newborn sweater and the finished size came out big. Then I looked at the suggested yarn. The yarn I had was the same size, but a different size. Yeah, yarn can be tricky because, you know, a pattern can say weight for yarn, but I mean, not all weight for yarn is exactly the same. As a matter of fact, it's a little harder to find two weights of yarn that are an exact match. So I did share some tests that you can do, some really easy things that you can do to figure out whether or not the yarn you have, the yarn you're choosing, the yarn that you're going to get, whether or not it's going to be a good match. Dawn, both yarns were a light 3, but different, if that makes sense. It makes absolute sense. Yes. Yeah, just because there are two yarns in one weight category, I mean, even if they're made by the exact same company, they could be completely different. They could feel different. They could look different. The size could even be different, even if they're the exact same yarn weight. So it's really important to look a little deeper than that, especially if you're going to make things like clothes. It really matters. Amanda, yes, find your picture, share it, share it, share it. Amanda says the tank top is a fave too. Oh, do you mean the Cheryl? The Cheryl tank top? Yeah. Okay, guys, so there you have it. I wanted to keep this quick, but again, I shared tons of resources and information with you. So even though I kind of skimmed over all of this, hopefully it just opened your eyes to going, oh, okay, if I want to crochet a garment, these are things that you kind of need to know and do and have and learn. And these are all things I can totally do because you can, okay? If you guys need help or resources, I've linked them all in the comments. You can find them all at the American Crochet Association.blog. You can also find this free pattern that I recommend for beginners. So if you are looking for your very first top to crochet, maybe this will be it. And if you're looking for a challenge to take you through all of the different things that I shared with you to where you can have a cardigan that you love, then definitely come on over and check out the Scarfie Cardigan Crochet Challenge. Tons of resources, but very easy to follow at your own pace. And if you guys are interested in diving into crocheting your first garment that you love, check out Ravelry. There are 47,000 patterns for clothing, and you can definitely narrow it down based on exactly what you're looking for, exactly what yarn you want to use, or any other kind of criteria you want to check out. All right, everybody, thanks so much for chiming in. It was really fun to see all of you and to chat with all of you. I really enjoyed that. If you guys enjoyed this video, do me a solid, share this in at least one place that you enjoy crochet if you think they'll dig it too. Maybe tag a crochet friend in the comments if you think they'll dig this. And again, if you guys have any questions, comments, feedback, I'm just a comment or an email away, okay? Peace, love, crochet, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.